Welcome to the Blue Collar Tutor Test Preparation Series for the New York City Fire Department S-12 Certificate of Fitness for Citywide Sprinkler Systems. This series will provide you with a convenient review of the material for the written exam. This preparation course includes information taken from the 2008 New York City Fire Code, Chapter 9, Fire Department Rules, Chapter 9, and the National Fire Protection Agency, Standard 25, 2002 edition, for inspection, testing, and maintenance of water-based fire protection systems. It is critical that you understand this material to help increase your chances of passing the exam. A transcript of this material is provided for free by the New York City Fire Department. See the link in the description below to upload the transcript and additional reference guides that you'll need to familiarize yourself with for the exam. Instructions on the application process to register for the exam are also provided via the link below. If you haven't already, it is recommended to watch the brief overview video in this series at least once before moving on to the subsequent volumes. After an initial run-through of the entire series, refer back to these volumes as often as you need until you feel confident with the material. Once you've familiarized yourself with all of the material in this course, continue on to the practice test sections at the end of the series. There you will find over 200 questions to test your knowledge of the material. 12. Maintenance, testing, and inspection frequencies. Inspection and maintenance of pressure tanks. The water level and air pressure in pressure tanks shall be inspected monthly and maintained in accordance with the National Fire Protection Association, number 25, 2002 edition. The water level and air pressure must provide an adequate water supply to the sprinkler system. The capacity of the compressor shall be sufficient to build up the tank pressure to 75 psi within 3 hours or less. The water gauge valve shall be opened to examine the water level. When the valve is opened, the water will flow into the gauge. This allows the certificate of fitness holder to compare the water level in the tank to the desired water level mark. Adjustments to the water level should be made as needed. After visually inspecting the water gauge valve, the valve should be closed. When the valve is closed, the water and air in the tank are isolated from the sight glass. If the gauge glass breaks, the volume of water and the air pressure will not be affected. The inside of pressure tanks shall be inspected carefully every 3 years. Rusting in the tank may require repainting or other repairs. The inside of the tank should be thoroughly scraped, wire brushed, and repainted. No foreign materials should be allowed to fall into the sprinkler system. The temperature inside the structure housing the pressure tank should be checked daily during cold weather to make sure that the temperature is at least 40 degrees Fahrenheit at all times. Inspection and maintenance of the gravity tank. The gravity tank should be regularly inspected and maintained in accordance with the NFPA number 25, 2002 edition. Maintenance is needed to be sure that the tank functions correctly. Tanks are to be painted regularly to prevent rusting. Before the inside of a gravity tank is repainted, the surface should be thoroughly dried. All loose paint, rust, scale, and other surface contamination should be removed. The outside of the gravity tank will require local patching. A complete finish coat of paint is needed when the paint has weathered thin. A new coat of paint also improves the appearance of the tank after it has been patched. Painters shall be careful that scrapings or other foreign materials do not fall down the outlet into the sprinkler piping. The discharge outlet may be covered for protection during repairs. Only a few sheets of paper or a paper bag tied over the end of the settling basin stub should be used. The paper should be removed immediately after the job is finished. It is best if gravity tanks are used only for fire protection and for no other purpose. Tanks used for other purposes need to be refilled more often. The tanks become settling basins for sediment mixed in with the water. This sediment is then drawn into the piping. This may cause the sprinkler system to become clogged and not work properly. The local firehouse should always be notified when a tank cannot be used for any reason. Pump inspection and maintenance. In order to ensure the reliable operation of the pump in the case of an emergency, regular inspections and maintenance shall be conducted by the certificate of fitness holder. The pump should be activated each week and run for 10 minutes in accordance to the manufacturer specifications to ensure that it is functioning properly. When the pump is in operation, a small water leak on the pump bearings is desirable and should not be considered a malfunction. If an automatic controller operates the fire pump, the pump shall be activated by reducing the water pressure in the system. This can be done by opening the test drain or initiating a large water flow from the system. By starting the fire pump this way, the certificate of fitness holder can determine if the automatic controller is working properly. Care should be taken to make sure that the pump does not overheat while conducting the test. The centrifugal pump relies on the water supply for cooling and lubrication and should never be operated without the pump being supplied with water. A visual inspection of all parts of the pump and the controlling equipment should also be conducted each week. This inspection should include the condition and reliability of the power supply. If any problems are discovered with the equipment, immediate action should be taken to correct the problem. Fire pumps should be fully tested annually to make sure that the pump, driver, power supply, and all other parts are functioning properly. Common deficiencies. The most common sprinkler system deficiencies include painted or loaded sprinkler heads, building contents located less than 18 inches below sprinkler deflectors, changes from the original wall locations, ceiling heights, and positioning of mechanical equipment. For concealed sprinkler systems, cover plates with non-factory coatings and the lack of required gap between cover plate and ceiling and blocking of the spray patterns from light fixtures too close to the sprinklers are the most common deficiencies seen in the field. Missing trim or cover plates not attached properly to sprinklers may indicate hanger deficiencies and may not allow the sprinkler deflectors to drop below the ceiling, blocking the spray pattern. The certificate of fitness holder shall assume that the system being inspected is installed in accordance with the New York City Building Code in effect at the time of installation. The certificate of fitness holder is to report those items of change that impact the system components regarding compliance with any retroactive requirements, the condition of the water supply control valves, water and air levels in reserve tanks and condition of same, unusual changes in water supply or system pressures, condition and accessibility of control valves, fire department connections, clearance around sprinkler heads, accessibility of curb valve box, system control valves, required signage, attachments to piping other than system components, misaligned piping due to impact, missing pipe hangers and supports, excessive operation of pressure relief valves, easily recognized recalled sprinkler heads, and visible leakage. Factors that may require further investigation. Installations that don't appear to be correct, including sprinkler heads located more than 22 inches below the ceiling or structure, sprinklers not installed in accordance with their listing, using sprinklers with a different RTI in the same protected area or the wrong RTI for the occupancy classification, undersized piping, incompatible piping materials, flexible sprinkler hoses not attached to the building structure, along with areas of the building not protected by the sprinkler system. All require further investigation by a qualified master fire suppression piping contractor. When sprinklers are replaced, the following information is critical to be certain that the correct devices have been used. Sprinklers with different diameter glass bulbs will have a different RTI and must not be used together in the same compartment. Sprinklers replaced without a SIN identification must be replaced with devices that perform as residential/hotels group R or J in the pre-2008 code. Residential sprinklers are required in all sleeping compartments. Quick response sprinklers are required in all other portions of the facility. Business/office group B or E in pre-2008 code, institutional I or H in pre-2008 code, education E or G in pre-2008 code require quick response sprinklers be installed in all occupied areas. Glass bulb sprinklers are sensitive to damage and are required to be shipped from the factory with protection. The orange, caps, and straps need to be removed prior to putting the system in service. The sprinkler will fail to operate with them in place. A complete summary of tasks of inspection, maintenance, and testing. 1. Inspection. A. Sprinkler systems. Gauges. Dry, pre-action, and deluge systems shall be inspected weekly to ensure that normal air and water pressures are maintained. Where air pressure supervision is connected to a constantly attended location shall be inspected monthly. Wet pipe sprinkler systems shall be inspected monthly to ensure good condition and that normal water supply pressures are being maintained. Alarm devices. Alarm devices shall be inspected quarterly to verify that they are free of physical damage. Hydraulic nameplate. Hydraulically designed systems shall be inspected quarterly to ensure that it is attached securely to the sprinkler riser or sprinkler control valve and is legible. Buildings. Annually, prior to freezing weather, buildings with wet pipe systems shall be inspected to verify that windows, skylights, door ventilators, other openings and closures, blind spaces, unused attics, stair towers, roof houses, and low spaces under buildings do not expose water-filled sprinkler piping to freezing, and to verify adequate heat with a minimum temperature of 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Hangers/seismic braces. Hangers installed in concealed spaces such as above suspended ceilings shall not need inspection. Hangers installed in areas that are inaccessible for safety considerations due to process operations shall be inspected during each scheduled shutdown. Hangers and braces shall be inspected annually from floor level to ensure they are in place, properly aligned, and otherwise not damaged. All defects and deficiencies shall be corrected. Pipe and fittings shall be inspected annually from the floor level to ensure there is no mechanical damage, leakage, corrosion, misalignment, and that required supports and bracing are in place and are in good condition. Nothing shall be attached to any sprinkler system component. Pipe installed within concealed, such as above suspended ceiling spaces, are not required to be inspected. Exposed piping installed in areas that are inaccessible for safety considerations due to process operations shall be inspected during each scheduled shutdown. Pipe installed in areas that are inaccessible shall be inspected during each scheduled shutdown. Spare sprinkler heads/wrenches. The supply shall be inspected annually for the proper number and type of sprinklers and a sprinkler wrench for each type of sprinkler. Sprinklers. Sprinklers shall be inspected from the floor level annually for signs of leakage, corrosion, foreign materials, paint, and physical damage, and shall be installed in the proper orientation, such as upright, pendant, or sidewall. If the above problem occurs, the sprinkler shall be replaced. Glass bulb sprinklers shall be replaced if the bulbs have emptied. Unacceptable obstructions to spray patterns shall be corrected. Sprinkler installed in concealed, such as above suspended ceiling spaces, are not required to be inspected. Sprinklers installed in areas that are inaccessible for safety considerations due to process operations shall be inspected during each scheduled shutdown. B. Fire booster and special service pumps. Pump house and heating ventilating louvers. A visual inspection shall be performed weekly to ensure that the heat is not less than 40 degrees Fahrenheit and not less than 70 degrees Fahrenheit for pump rooms with diesel pumps without engine heaters, and that ventilating louvers are free to operate. Fire pump. Weekly visual inspections shall be made to ensure that the pump suction and discharge and the bypass valves are fully open. All piping is free of leaks. Suction line pressure gauge readings are normal and that the reservoir is full. System line pressure gauge readings are normal and that the wet pit suction screens are unobstructed and in place. Diesel engine fire pump system. Fuel system. A visual inspection shall be performed weekly to ensure that the tank level is 2/3 full. The tank float switch is in the auto position. Solenoid valves shall be operational. There is no water in the fuel system, and on the condition of the flexible hose connectors. Lubrication system. Weekly checks are required for the oil level in the right angle gear drive and to ensure that the lube oil heater is adequately lubricated. Cooling system. A visual inspection shall be performed weekly to ensure that levels for cooling water to the heat exchanger are adequate. Check on water pumps. And on the condition of flexible hoses and connections. Annual inspections shall be done of all ductwork and cleaning of the louvers. Exhaust system. Weekly checks shall be done for any leakage and for the drain condensate trap. Quarterly check the insulation and for any fire hazards. Battery system. Weekly checks shall be made on the electrolyte level of the battery system along with the charger and charge rate. Monthly checks shall be made to remove any corrosion on the pump casing and to clean and dry the housing. Quarterly checks shall be made that all terminals are clean and tight. Electrical system. A visual inspection shall be performed weekly to ensure that the controller pilot light is on, the transfer switch is closed, the reverse phase alarm pilot light is off or on normal phase rotation. The pilot light is on. and that the oil level in the vertical motor sight glass is normal. Circuit breakers or fuses are to be checked monthly. And any potential wire chafing, where wire is subject to movement, shall be checked quarterly. C. Water storage tank. Condition of water in tank. Water level. Tanks without supervised water level alarms at constantly attended locations shall be inspected monthly. Tanks with supervised water level alarms at constantly attended locations shall be inspected quarterly. Water temperature. The temperature of water tanks shall not be less than 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature of water in the tanks without low temperature alarms connected to a constantly attended location shall be inspected and recorded daily during the heating season. The temperature of water in the tanks with low temperature alarms connected to a constantly attended location shall be inspected and recorded weekly during the heating season. Air pressure. Air pressure without a supervised air pressure source shall be inspected monthly. Air pressure with a supervised air pressure source shall be inspected quarterly. Heating system. The heating system and components, including piping without a low temperature alarm, shall be inspected daily. The heating system and components, including piping with a low temperature alarm, shall be inspected weekly. Tank exterior. The exterior of the tank, supporting structure, vents, foundation, and catwalks or ladders, shall be inspected quarterly for damages and weakening. The area surrounding the tank shall be inspected quarterly to ensure it is free of combustible storage, trash, debris, brush, or material that could present a fire exposure hazard, and for any accumulation of material or ice buildup on or near parts that could result in accelerated corrosion or rot. The exterior side and top of embankments supporting coated fabric tanks shall be inspected and kept free of erosion. Expansion joints shall be inspected annually for leaks and cracks. Hoops and grillage of a wooden tank shall be inspected annually. Exterior painted, coated, or insulated surfaces of the tank and supporting structure, where provided, shall be inspected annually for signs of degradation. Interior inspection. The interior of steel tanks without corrosion protection shall be inspected every 3 years. The interior of all other types of tanks shall be inspected every 5 years. The tank interior shall be inspected for signs of pitting, corrosion, spalling, rot, and other forms of deterioration, waste material and debris, aquatic growth, and local or general failure of interior coating. D. Valve and valve components. Pre-action/deluge valves. The valve enclosure heating equipment is subject to freezing and shall be inspected daily during cold weather for its ability to maintain a minimum temperature of at least 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Valve enclosures equipped with low temperature alarms shall be inspected weekly during cold weather. Exterior valves shall be externally inspected monthly to ensure that they are free from physical damage, the valve seat is not leaking, all trim valves are in the appropriate open or closed position, and electrical components are in service. Interior. The interior of the valve and the condition of detection devices shall be inspected annually when the trip test is conducted. Internal inspection of valves that can be reset without removal of a faceplate shall be permitted to be conducted every 5 years. Strainers, filters, restricted orifices, and diaphragm chambers shall be inspected internally every 5 years, unless tests indicate a greater frequency is necessary. Dry pipe valves/quick opening devices. The valve enclosure heating equipment is subject to freezing shall be inspected daily during cold weather for its ability to maintain a minimum temperature of at least 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Valve enclosures equipped with low temperature alarms shall be inspected weekly during cold weather. Exterior dry pipe valves shall be externally inspected monthly to ensure that they are free from physical damage, the intermediate chamber is not leaking, all trim valves are in the appropriate open or closed position, and electrical components are in service. The interior of the dry pipe valve shall be inspected annually when the trip test is conducted. Strainers, filters, restricted orifices, and diaphragm chambers shall be inspected internally every 5 years unless tests indicate a greater frequency is necessary. Backflow prevention assemblies. The double and single check assembly valves and double check detector assembly valves shall be inspected weekly to ensure that the O, S, and Y isolation valves are in the normal open position. Valves secured with locks or electrically supervised shall be inspected monthly. Fire department connections. Fire department connections shall be inspected quarterly to verify that the connections are visible and accessible and that the couplings or swivels are not damaged and rotate smoothly. Plugs or caps shall be in place and undamaged. Gaskets shall be in place and in good working condition. Verify that identification signs are in place regarding distance to the nearest fire hydrant. The check valve is fully operational and not leaking. The automatic drain valve shall be in place and properly operating, and that the clapper shall be in place and operating properly. Control valves. All indicating valves controlling water supply shall be sealed, locked, or provided with other approved methods as outlined in the National Fire Protection Association No. 25, 2002 edition. A seal is defined as an easily removable device, with no key required, that will indicate the unauthorized operation of a valve. Using this method shall require weekly inspections of each valve by the certificate of fitness holder. All indicating valves controlling water supplies equipped with locks that and/or are supervised shall be inspected monthly. The inspection shall verify that the valve is in the normal open or closed position, properly sealed, locked, or supervised, provided with appropriate wrenches, free from external leaks, and provided with the appropriate identification. Pressure reducing and relief valves. Fire pumps. Casing relief valves. All circulation relief valves shall be inspected weekly to verify that water flows through the valve when the fire pump is operating at shutoff pressure or churn to prevent the pump from overheating. Pressure relief valves shall be inspected weekly to verify that the pressure downstream of the relief valve fittings and the fire pump discharge piping does not exceed the pressure for which the system components are rated. Sprinkler systems. All valves shall be inspected quarterly to verify that the valves in the open position are not leaking and are in a good condition, with hand wheels installed and unbroken. Downstream pressures shall be maintained in accordance with the design criteria. Hose connections. All valves shall be inspected quarterly to ensure that the hand wheel is not broken or missing, and that the outlet hose threads are not damaged and are without leaks. The reducer and the cap shall not be missing. Hose racks. All valves shall be inspected quarterly to ensure that the hand wheel is not missing or broken and that there are no leaks. Alarm valves. Exterior alarm valves shall be inspected monthly to ensure the gauges indicate a normal supply water pressure is being maintained. The valve shall be free of physical damage and ensure that all valves are in the appropriate open or closed position. The retarding chamber or alarm drain shall be in a good condition without leaks. All alarm valves and their associated strainers, filters, and restricted orifices shall be inspected internally every 5 years unless tests indicate a greater frequency is necessary. Check valves shall be inspected internally every 5 years to verify that all components operate correctly, move freely, and are in good condition. The material covered in this chapter is repeated in Chapter 13 in the form of checklists of all required inspection, testing, and maintenance for water-based fire suppression piping systems. Chapter 13 will not be covered in this series. Those exact checklists will be provided to you when you take the exam at the fire department facility. While you need not memorize all of the information in this chapter, this is a timed exam. The checklists consist of approximately 22 pages, and you will only have an average of 2 minutes to answer each question. The more familiar you are with this content, the faster you will be able to locate the information in the booklet when questions pertaining to this material come up on the test. It is highly recommended that you download all 22 pages of Chapter 13 from the FDNY website, have the checklists printed out, and have the physical copies to refer to when taking the practice test. Repeatedly referring to physical copies of the actual checklists used in the exam while taking repeated practice tests is the best way to prepare yourself to handle those particular questions and complete the test in the allotted time. This concludes Volume 8. Part 2 of Chapter 12 will be covered in Volume 9. Repeat each chapter as often as you need until you feel confident with the material. Post any follow-up questions in the comment section below. Subscribe to stay current on updates to existing exams and to be notified of new test preparation content. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to leave a like. Thank you for watching.